Shining bright, sunshine in the sky. Megan and Tammy here to testify, spreading love, laughter and good vibes too. The Fat Girl Chronicles, we're breaking through. No more.
Hi, I'm Tammy.
And I'm Megan.
And together we are
The Fat Girl Flippers.
And this is the Fat Girl Chronicles.
Yes.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yes. So anyone who is watching on YouTube for the first time or maybe multiple times, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I know we give that spiel every time, but it's just as important. And make sure you hit that bell so you can get reminded every Friday that our beautiful faces will be there. And if you prefer to not watch us and
Why wouldn't anyone want to watch us?
and just listen, we are on multiple podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We encourage you to try that out as well, see which kind of thing you like the best. And we're excited to be here for another episode. We're hoping that you guys are liking the series so far.
A lot of feedback on the mental health episode.
Really?
I don't know if you got any, but
No.
I got a lot of feedback.
Oh, share.
Yeah, no, some people from the Lemonade Stand, which is the
Yes.
disability group,
Yeah.
commented that they were really glad that we had done that. And that,
really?
Yeah, and that it really hit home. Because a lot of times physical disabilities go hand in hand with mental health,
For
right?
sure.
Or physical disabilities can cause mental health issues.
Yeah.
So they were really happy that we were open and honest about things. And
Yeah.
I got a couple of feedbacks. And then I got feedback today when I was out with my friend Paula. Like she said, it just sounds like you're sitting around in the living room with your girlfriends, or
I
in the
love
girls'
it.
locker room when we were talking about sex. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Oh, did she listen to that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. That's really good. Yeah, I haven't gotten, I know like my mother-in-law listens to them. I did, not the sex one though. I had a coworker who listened for the first time, and I believe her words were 10 out of 10.
Oh,
Loved it.
awesome.
So, and she had listened to like the Q&A one.
Yes.
One of the Q&A ones at that time.
Those are kind of fun.
Yeah, I think, a lot of the podcasts, they like the fact that we're just chatting and kind of shooting the whatever.
The feedback that I've been getting is the same. Like people feel like they're sitting in the living room with us, or like Paula said, like in
For
the girls'
sure.
locker room, or just like it's like it's girl talk kind of sometimes, and not always serious, and sometimes we talk about serious things, other times we just talk about whatever's on our minds.
I know. And we would love suggestions. So like even the last 2 weeks we've been like, okay, what do we want to talk about? So if there's something you want us to talk about, please let us know, because we definitely, as we go week by, this is like what, episode 13, 14, 15?
Oh, it's going to be 15, I think now.
I can't even tell you.
It's kind of crazy.
If you think about it, because there was only
crazy.
1 week that we missed, but we didn't miss because we used the episode that we didn't end up airing.
Yeah.
So we've not missed.
No, which is really good, which is
wild.
good for us, because that means we've stuck to a schedule.
Stuck to it, and there's been a couple tech issues.
Yeah.
But I think, last week I think everything went up without a hitch.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll just continue with that.
And it was, it's good. I'm enjoying doing it. Are you?
Yeah, oh, me too.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see, like, Richard is always sending me, like, the different stats, and to see all the different people around the world, like, listening. And
That is something Amanda
so
and I were
cool.
talking about, was, the different people all over the world and how that would happen and why. And that is very interesting. Still, I'm going to tell you, if you're from, like, Europe or anywhere
we're
like
always
that,
saying
please
it.
comment down in the comments and let us know where you're from. Drop your flag down in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know where you're from, and if you want to leave us a comment or send us an inbox, head on over to our Fat Girl Flipper page on Facebook, and you can find us there.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if you can leave comments on the podcast apps, but I never really check, so I should check just to make absolute sure.
I'm not sure, but I know on the YouTube you can leave like a public comment, but if they want to send us a private message about anything, then they would have to head on over to our Facebook page.
Yeah. On the podcast apps, I'm pretty sure you can rate, though. Like, rate a podcast.
Well, we know we're 10 out of 10.
But I'm pretty so if that's an option, feel free to rate us.
Feel free to rate us.
And like leave a review or whatever, because that also would help. I never thought about that until now. But
yeah, every little thing helps with the algorithm and putting us, especially on YouTube, it'll bump us up and put us in, in more people's faces, I guess. Yeah. Speaking of people in people's faces, Archie's joined us.
Absolutely is upset. He's like, "Oh, that's the co-speaker, Archie."
I got to tell you that this cat does not do this.
I know.
At all. Podcast. Only when he sees us getting the podcast stuff ready.
I know. It's wild. It's wild.
It's like he knows.
Yeah. So before we start, did we want to go over like how your week was?
My week was up and down. I've been having my legs wrapped by my physiotherapist for my lipedema. And I missed my last appointment, so that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Transportation issues are always hard.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been getting out a lot, thanks to Paula. I really appreciate that.
Paula!
Getting out and, getting some fresh air and some nature, which is my jam. So what about you? How was your week?
Busy. So this is like the week where kind of a transitional thing is happening. Mm-hmm. So I'm like I would say I'm actually kind of almost in like 3 positions at once, which is like a student, a protection worker, and a pride worker. So like just trying to like navigate that. And I started school. So that's also, it's definitely like the format is kind of what you did. Like it's like one kind of class. And you work through the modules, and then there's another, like it's that kind of format, which is different than the university that I'm used to, because I mean, this is still university. It's still through Yorkville University.
You're only doing yourself. You're not with the class.
Yeah. So like, it's like, and I'm not doing multiple classes. So, but you have to have like a discussion post every day of the week. So it's like a lot of work that way. So I've just been busy with that. This weekend was weekend.
Your birthday just passed.
Yes, my birthday just passed, and on the weekend, Richard and I went to this place called It's Not Adventure.
I was wondering where you went, because I saw in the background of your picture it showed can't wear this type of footwear, and I was like, I wonder what they're doing.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was so cool. So it's in Dartmouth, and it's like, so you go in and there's a bunch of different rooms, and it's like games. So like one room was the laser room, and so the whole room it was just like off TV. Like the room was like smoky, and they had like lasers set up, and then so one of the games that we decided to play was like, the laser would be like on the floor, and then you had to like walk across the room and step over the laser. But then they would continue to put the laser in different areas. So then you'd have to like a secret spy. It was really cool.
Okay.
So that was one of the rooms. Another room was like the whole floor were these like little squares, like light up squares. It was called Mega Grid. And so some of the games there would be like, you had to like run to certain colored squares without stepping on other colored squares. So it was like really like physical and interactive.
Oh, nice.
Another one was like basketball, where one of them, they'd show a pattern of colors, and then on the basketball nets there would be colors behind the basketball nets, and you'd have to try to hoop in the pattern.
Oh.
It was like...
That sounds like fun.
It was fun. It was like a workout. Like I was sweating to death. And then we went to what they call like the Shuby games. And so... it was in Indian Brook, and baseball.
I heard about that only because Leo was going to take me for a lobster roll. So we went looking for the lobster truck, but the lobster truck was in Shuby. I actually called them, and they said we're at the games in Shuby. Yeah.
So I know nothing about baseball. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with baseball.
Oh yeah.
Nothing. So like I have a friend here on one side, and then I've got Richard on the other side, and they're both like baseball experts. And I'm like standing there, and they're like, "Oh, that's the whatever bottom of the second inning or whatever," and I'm like, "What?" And then they're trying to explain like all the different moves. It is hockey. I can understand hockey, but baseball was like. So we watched one of the games. The Res Socks won.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Escasoni.
Res Socks. Escasoni.
Escasoni, yeah. They,
nice. Sorry. Archie's causing havoc. Didn't he do this last time?
Yes.
Little, I was going to say little, you know what, but what is, he's all wrapped up in the...
Hold on, baby. Okay.
Sorry, we're on an angle. There.
Are we better now? Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording. There
Okay.
you go. Perfect.
Yeah, so here, what I'm going to do. There you go, baby.
Look at me. He's going to get back up here because that's not going to make him happy.
We are definitely going to keep that in. There you go, baby.
Oh no, he's mad at Auntie Megan now because she moved his chair. Anyway, so yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and they had the jerseys, like the Red Sox.
Oh no, but it said Res Sox?
Res Sox.
Oh, that's so cool.
So cool, yeah. So that's what I did this weekend.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What did I do? I worked on a door. Building a door, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of painting. Painting some
so
frames, yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I spent some time outside. So yeah.
That's awesome. So today we were going to talk about fears.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of goes with the it's turning into fall. You know, fall, spooky season, Halloween. Fears.
Oh, I was thinking fall turns into winter and that scares me.
Honestly,
I'm a summer girl through and through.
See, I don't know if I love spring so much.
I do like fall.
But I love fall.
I do like fall.
I don't like how dark when
it gets dark. I wish they'd get rid of that daylight savings time here.
There's like a million places, even in Canada. There's places that don't do it.
I know.
It's crazy.
We need to lobby to get rid of that because it would give us more daylight. People would be healthier because you get more sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate, this is the one I hate. No.
Fall back.
Fall
Spring
back. This
ahead.
is the one that I hate because I lose an hour. Mm-hmm. Right?
No, you gain an hour. Right? Fall back. So the time goes back. So we gain an hour.
Oh, this is the one I like.
Yeah, the spring one is the hard one.
The spring one is
spring ahead because you lose that hour because it goes ahead. The time goes ahead.
It kills me.
Yeah, and it throws off a lot of people's, what do they call it? Circadian, your rhythm, your sleep rhythm.
Yeah.
Circadian rhythm.
Can't stand it.
Anyway, yeah, it throws that off because people who are used to getting up when it's light or whatever, it messes their body up.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No. So fears. Did you want to go first, or did you want me to go first? Or
you can go first.
Well, I chose the topic of fears because I've had a lot on my mind lately. So I'll share. Well, we haven't really talked about it much, so this is kind of like sharing with you.
Yeah, we're sharing because she literally just rolled in and
I was like, we were like trying to decide the topic, and I was like, honestly, I've been kind of struggling with this, so let's do fears. So a little bit about me is that on my mom's side, I've got there is a pretty pronounced history of dementia. So before I kind of get into things and my fears, if you have a history with someone who has dementia, or if the topic of dementia is super triggering, I'm probably going to discuss it in a lot of detail and my fears around it. So this may be triggering to you, or you may resonate with it and it might feel good to hear someone talk things out loud.
Someone else talking about it, the similar situations.
Yeah. So my experience with dementia mainly is when I was really young, elementary school. My grandmother was diagnosed with what I knew then as early onset dementia, and later diagnosed with vascular dementia. And so she did die of dementia, and she died in a home. At the time of her death, she was nonverbal, in a wheelchair, just kind of present in body, but not so much in anything else. She'd make verbal sounds, I guess, but it was hard, with her deteriorating, it was hard to watch, she's struggled with mental health, for example. So her diagnosis would be like bipolar. And so when, you know, as she started getting to the nursing home and like with the dementia and stuff, they started taking away her meds. And I know that like one symptoms, for example, when she started was like having super paranoid thoughts and stuff, right? And that was hard.
And that's probably a side effect of coming off the meds.
Yeah, for sure, because she was on like an
antipsychotic.
Psychotic med. Yeah. So, you know, that was difficult. So that was kind of like my first experience with dementia. And, you know, I think with that, it's hard as the loved one to watch. I don't know, have you ever lost it or met any?
Amanda's dad, my Uncle Wayne.
Okay.
That was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. Hard to see the family go through that, and it was hard for me to see the man that I knew go through.
Yeah.
To become, you know, almost childlike again.
Yeah.
It was really difficult, and I know for the family, it was extremely hard.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard because, like, you want to believe, like, in the hearts of hearts, you know, when she was kind of within days of dying, one of my last interactions with her was I was holding her hand and her finger, I don't have my wedding ring on right now because the prong or whatever is broken, but I had my wedding band and stuff on at the time, and she was rubbing it, and I said, Grammy, I married Richard, I married him, I love him, like, you know, I mean, we'd married years before, and I can remember her just smiling, so it was like she was there, but she's not, right? And I think...
I do think that there's moments of cohesive thoughts.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as a loved one, you really want to believe that somewhere deep inside, even if it's not the truth, you want to believe that somewhere deep inside.
There's moments of, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So dementia has always been a concern for me. And then my aunt, who is young, like in her 60s, when she came to visit it would have only been within the last year, she came to visit, and we noticed she was really off, like really weird.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, like super weird. And then she went back home, and then a couple months later, she called my mom crying, and she'd gotten the diagnosis of dementia. So she came in a panic, because she's in Calgary. So she flew in a panic to our place to see mom, because we have a history of dementia, and she wanted to be able to like see mom and see her father, my grandfather, and stuff, because he was also not doing well. And it was sad. Like we had to look at every piece of luggage for her name because she couldn't remember. Like, she really shouldn't have flown by herself. Like, really. She forgot how to like eat. Like, she couldn't, her words, like, and she also mentioned, which is something interesting, that she was sitting there and she was looking at our window and she was like, there's somebody out there. Like, she was seeing things. Hallucinating. And so all of these things, like, she really wasn't well. She clogged her toilet a lot because she was using an excessive amount of, like,
toilet paper.
All of these things, right? And so, yeah, it wasn't good. So she flew home. And then mom decided, so I picked mom up from the airport today, and, you know, she's not even mid-60s, and in October she'll be going to a home. She's like, mom was like, they went to the grocery store, and she was putting her purse on her feet like they were her shoes. Like, she's not able to eat, she's not able to, like, cook meals for herself, not able to clean after herself, not able to, like, she verbally is really struggling, like comprehension and stuff, really struggling, right? And so she and my uncle, who had a heart thing way back when I was really young, had left him physically and intellectually disabled. So both of them are going into the home because she cared for him.
Oh my.
And so now, you know, my cousin's parents, my aunt and uncle, like, they're both
going in the home.
Are going to have to go home together. Yeah.
So will they be able to stay together?
Yeah, they have. It's like a little apartment, and they'll have like 24-hour care and stuff like that. So that's great.
Yeah.
So then I also found out so that aunt is my oldest aunt. So she's so it goes that aunt and then my mom, And then the sister, right after my mom, we found out she's also starting to struggle with dementia. She is like late 50s. And then my youngest aunt has just recently called and said that she's also fearful and had noticed something. So that's like 3 out of 4 aunts on my mom's side, who 2 of them for sure, and one of them could be either just being scared and kind of, being panicked.
And that can create a lot of problems too.
For sure.
And the other thing that also could be happening, depending on how old she is going through menopause causes a lot of weird things to happen.
For sure.
Like, that are very similar. Like you have memory loss and you have...
Of course.
So there could be some of that going on as well.
Right? Yeah, which is what I'm hoping, right? So, like, I guess when it comes to my fear, like, specifically, like, Anne, like my aunt, she's in her 60s. I just turned 32. Like, if that's my fate... I've lived half of my life already, right? And so that, for me, that is a huge fear, because it's like, it didn't take that long for me to become this age. Like, it's not going to take that long.
And the rest, believe me,
will fly.
It flies.
It flies, right? And so, like, Richard and I have really been talking about, like, I've been, like, discussing things like, if this is my fate, if this happens, do I want to look at Maid? Because I don't want, like, so then we start discussing things like, I know what it's like to have to watch somebody, like my mom saying goodbye to my aunt this morning or yesterday, because she did it overnight. Like, she knows that she's saying goodbye to my aunt for the last time. Like, the next time she sees my aunt will either not be there and we'll be at a funeral, or she won't be recognized. Like, she won't know who my mom is. So, like, do I want to put my husband through that? Or if we have kids, would I want to put my kids through that, or my family through that? And so it's been like a real discussion around, like, how do we want to do this? And then, like, Richard talking about, like, okay, what are ways? And the other thing is, you can't, like, prevent it.
No, there's no cure.
Yeah, there's no cure. So it's like Richard was looking at, like, cold baths. Like, apparently that is something that's helpful. Or, keeping your mind occupied and busy, or whatever it is.
A lot of people do, like, word games and puzzles and things like that to keep their mind active.
Yeah. But, like, at the end of the day, and this is kind of the reality I've come to, is, like, genetically, if this is my fate was decided before, like, you know what I mean? Like,
you don't have a choice.
It is what it is, and if that's my fate, that's what will happen, regardless of how many kind of puzzles or cold baths I get. Like, it'll ultimately be my fate. So it's like, but it's scary to think about, like, if that is my fate. It's a certain type of dementia that they're getting. It's the frontal temporal dementia,
which is
and often starts, the usual range is between 45 and 65. Like, that's the usual range,
which is early onset Alzheimer's. Also is what they call it.
So, like, if that's my fate, then I've lived half my life. So, like, that, I've been really, like, then it really just, for me, resonates that, like, you do live every day, right? And you have to live every day. Because, when I think about some of these family members who are slowly losing their mind, essentially, like, and you think about their struggles, or them putting other people first, or them not being able, like, my aunt, like, was living her life to work and waiting for retirement, and her retirement came and she can't live it.
And so many people, not just dementia related, I see so many people going through that they get to the point where they're able to retire and they have a heart attack, or they have, like, something happens. And that's why it is so crucial to live your life every day and really just enjoy every moment that you can, and seize the opportunities. I know a lot of people were not happy about my decision to, go to Belize and live in Belize, but I would not change that decision
for anything,
because the experiences that I had are like memories that I'll always have.
For sure.
You know, and could I have done things differently, and would things have been different? Yeah, but, you know, exactly. I might have ended up with, I'd still be sitting here in this chair, right? No matter what I had done, whether I'd stayed here and worked, I'd still be sitting in this chair.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that I chose what I chose, because at least it gave me an opportunity to have a really good life for a short period of time.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking, like, you know, turning fear into fuel to, like, because ultimately, like, the fear about the situation in and of itself is not helpful, because it's not like I can change its path.
No.
Like, you know, mom is gonna look into getting tested, because there's a blood test that you can get.
Yeah.
So she's gonna look into that. You know, I'm gonna wait until she gets that test. If it comes back that she would be likely to have the gene, or whatever, then yeah, I might consider the testing. But even with the testing, the reality is that that doesn't change. Like, nothing about this is gonna change. I'm gonna get it, or I'm not gonna get it. So, like, there's nothing I can do. So, like, being afraid of it and being fearful of it, while it's not impossible not to be, because I'm still, like, petrified of the thought of it, it's like, what can I have control over? Like, we always learn that in therapy, right? Like, do what you can control. Focus on what you can control.
Yeah.
And what I can control is things like making a decision to go into a position that is a lot less stress and allows me more work-life balance and is closer to my home. What I can control is, like, making sure Richard and I go on dates, making sure you and I spend time together. We continue with the podcast. Is something I enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, spending time working through my fertility stuff, spending time at school, because I really enjoy school and I want to be a counselor. Like, doing things that are for me, and that I can, you know, whether I lose my mind or not, know that I travel. Like, I want to travel. Like, I want to do those things, you know?
Yeah. And I would encourage you to do that, even if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I think that everyone should, because nobody knows what your fate's going to be. I mean, the way the world is going, we could wake up tomorrow and everything could come crashing down.
For sure. Absolutely.
I mean, if you look back at history, at the things that have happened in the world, it's very possible we could have a war, or we could have, you know, anything could happen.
Meteor could come.
Well,
strike us, honestly.
Or, I mean, a nuclear bomb could be set off on us.
Or we could go through COVID and be locked to get, like, COVID 2.0, locked up again. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
no. I can't do it again. I can't.
Okay, I take that one back.
Remember, you were my, what did they call them? I can't even.
Like, you're in your bubble or whatever, bubble buddy.
Living alone and going through COVID, I think, was what hell would be like.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can say, because it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mental health wise, my paranoia was, like, through the roof.
Yeah.
And there was nothing to do but sit around all day and think about it and watch those stupid
press conferences.
They had us, like, I just have fear. I never even thought of that, but yeah.
That is a fear. But yeah, no, I think, and in relation to, like, being plus sized, or, you know, living life with, having a fat body, you know, at the end of the day, like...
At the end of the day, that makes not one shit of difference.
Just do... I mean, look at me. We went to that place, whatever. Like, do what you can do, even for you who's in a wheelchair. Like, even you could do the baseball one. Or probably not the laser one.
I can't jump in this. Not yet.
Could you imagine?
My goal, though, is to get a different chair that I can wheel myself, so that you can do that. You can learn stuff like that.
Right. So and I actually think on their website, I didn't look at it, but I did see something about accessibility. So I'm curious what they would say about that. But regardless, my point is that, you know, really try to experience the things you want to experience, regardless of what body you have, or what size you are,
or what disability you have.
Yeah.
Don't let those be closed doors for you.
Yeah, I just think like
bust those damn doors open.
Yeah, and focus on what you can control. Like I think that's what the biggest thing about this particular fear is focus on the things that you can control. I cannot control whether I have the gene or not. I just can't. And that's the reality of it. As scary as that might be, I can't control it. So, but I can control how I live my life every day, and I can control how much love I show my husband, how much appreciation I show my family and friends. I can control that stuff. So,
true.
That's, that's what we'll do. And if I do MAID, I don't know how that process works, but I'll make sure it's like a really cool ending.
Yeah.
Lots of music and love.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've thought about that because I would say that one of my biggest fears is dying alone. You know, like, because I am estranged from my family, that is something that's really always on my mind, because especially having a disability and being in the wheelchair and,
right.
and knowing that this is progressive and knowing that, my mobility could be affected worse than it is now. It's hard, and that's one of the things that I struggle with is thinking that, I could go through this life and end up dying alone.
Yeah.
So.
And it would be hard, like, when you think about it, like, because you live alone, like, you know what I mean? I mean, you have people kind of, you always have people checking on you, but, like, it's still different. You know what I mean? It's still different.
It's 100% different than if you have a partner or
like
you
living with somebody,
or you have a family that that is supportive and is around. Yeah, it's really that's something that's always on my mind. Archie's great, but I don't know. He can massage, but
I don't think he can do CPR.
No, my only hope is that if something does happen to me, I've thought about this a lot. I've always thought, well, if I have a heart attack or if I have something happen to me, I hope that I die. I hope that I don't end up like having a stroke and being put in a home or, you know what I mean? Like I would never want that.
Yeah.
I'm putting that out there. Anyone who's listening, I would never want that.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So.
That's fair.
If I end up in that spot, it's your job to come with a needle and take care of me. Yeah.
I mean, no, that would be. I mean, the one time I thought that you were. Remember that when you didn't respond right away? So that's.
Yeah, that was a really, I think, a really traumatic thing for you and for me.
Yeah. And Candy.
Yeah. I'd accidentally put my phone on airplane mode and didn't realize it, and they couldn't reach me. And Megan actually sent the police to my door, and at that time it was right after the shooting, and it actually sent me into a panic because the police officer they sent was a male and looked like the shooter. And
for those who don't know, it was just Nova Scotia, I still think holds the highest record for the biggest mass shooting in Canada. And part of his thing was to replicate a cop. So he drove what looked like a cop car.
Dressed in a police uniform.
Yeah, so
had all kinds of police
people over. Yeah, and, right. So like
had guns. I mean, he massacred people.
Yeah, so that time
in our area, in our communities where we grew up, where we live, so very, I mean, home
for sure
for both of us
for sure.
So it's scary. So that was. So I know that if I don't respond, that at least they'll look for me.
Yeah, me and Candy were like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Yeah. So
but that was that during COVID time too?
Well, the shooting happened during COVID. Like
I think that was shortly after.
Well, yeah, no, it was COVID.
I think it was, and I think that was another reason is because we weren't allowed to be together, and it was you guys were worried about my mental health because of that because of that. Yeah, the state of affairs in the world.
Yeah.
No wonder. I'm sure everybody's mental health around here was not in a good place.
No.
So yeah, that's my fear is dying alone. And I've often thought about MAID as well, and it's one thing that I've actually looked into it, because I feel like at some point, if the suffering gets too bad with this disease, I would probably choose that rather than end up somewhere where someone has to care for me.
Right.
So, I totally support people's choices to do that. Especially, there was someone that recently, just someone that I know, not a friend or anything, but who had cancer, and he ended his life that way because he didn't want to go through the suffering of.
Yeah, I think, that's...
And I think everybody should be free to choose that if they wish.
Yeah, that's one thing about Tammy and I. We were very, like, well, and I think
we're realistic.
Well, we're realistic, but I also think it comes from being in plus-size bodies and constantly feeling like people are judging you. Because sometimes they aren't, but sometimes they are.
A lot of times
they are. So it's like when you are constantly in this state of being judged or feeling judged or whatever the case may be, I mean, you can go one of two ways. Then you can just be angry at the world and judge everyone else. Or you can kind of be like, I always say to people, my choice is about my body, about what I eat, how much I exercise, like all of that stuff. That's my choice. Like, that doesn't really matter what you think. Like, it's my choice. You don't have a right on that. And then I tend to think that for other people. Like, if they choose MAID, then that's their choice. Like, that's their body. It's their choice.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And that's probably where some of that stems from. That we're just kind of like, you do you.
Yeah. And I think a lot like you, the same. I used to be very angry before I went through counseling and things. I was angry at the world.
Yeah.
And now I'm more of the other way. I'm, look at things differently. I try not to be judgmental of people's decisions. I still have my moments, but I try to be a different type of person and look at situations in a different way.
Yeah, fair. And what about facing your fears? Have you ever faced a fear?
Yeah. No, I was just thinking whether I wanted to share it or not, but...
Did you want me to go first? What you think about it?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. This one's going to be an easy fear. Very easy. Tammy knows that I do not like lakes.
Like what?
Lakes.
Oh.
So I only like pools. I don't really like... Okay, anyone who's watching YouTube is going to see like 2 pointy ears. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
so I don't like I like the ocean. I like the lake. Like, I like looking at them, but I have a huge fear of, like, I can't see the bottom. I don't know, like, fish, not my jam. I don't want a leech on me. Like, I have nightmares about leeches. I've never had one. I don't want to experience one. And so I went to this, like, that's the other thing I did this weekend. Some work people went to a person's house, and beautiful house, and right on a lake and everything else. And I went into the lake for like 15 minutes.
What?
That's big for me. I faced my fear that day.
What?
Yeah. Trying to think of, like, other fears would be like when I took this new position, because my people pleasing, right? I faced a fear of, like, disappointing people. That's another one. What about you? Did you want to share it?
I just think, like, a couple of times I've made decisions because I've always been fearful of what, especially my family, what they thought. And, making the decision to move from Truro to Moncton when my son was little was huge. That was facing my fears, because I literally quit my job. And I mean, it was drilled into my head that you didn't do that, like, you stayed, you were consistent, you went to work every day, you did this. There was no change in jobs.
Right. And that was the mentality for a lot of years. Yeah.
So I did the unthinkable. I quit my job. I left in the middle of the night, packed up everything, and went to Moncton, and had no job. Didn't know what I was going to do, like just whatever.
That is scary.
But within a couple of days, had a job offer from a competitor of the company that I worked for. So immediately, had to find daycare and get my son into school and do all the, things. I guess it was just daycare then because he was just little. But and had to straighten that out and find a place to live and do all the things. And then during that time, my grandmother died. So, that was a hard thing to be away from the family. And certain people in the family were a little angry with me about that, but I mean, that wasn't anything I could control.
Right.
So yeah. And then again, when I moved to Belize, that was a big selling everything and, moving to a different country where you only knew very few people and didn't know what was going to happen and how
that
it was
would have been nerve-wracking.
That was, yeah. Yep. That was scary. But wouldn't change it. If I had the opportunity and I was in the same position, I would do the same thing.
So, what do you tell yourself to face a fear like that?
Well, I'm the biggest, I have anxiety and I'm the worst catastrophizing person in the world. Yeah, person in the world. Seriously. Yeah, I mean, I see the worst in every situation because I grew up in such a negative environment. But I don't know. There was something when I had gone on a trip, my very first trip to Belize when I met Twinny, I felt an instant connection with that country and with the people, and I never stopped thinking about it. And it was 5 years before I moved, almost to the day. But I never stopped thinking about wanting to be there. And every time that I would go to work and make money and work overtime, and every little bit of money I had would be to save to go on another trip to Belize. And I would go every 6 months I would go to Belize. And then it was I know that this is where my heart is and I want to be there. And then it just became easy because it was, I didn't connect with anyone in this world.
Right.
But I had connections there with people that I still have. So
it's
it was my place.
Outweighed the fear.
Yeah. Yep. Because I mean, don't let me tell you that it wasn't scary standing at the airport with 16 suitcases and
of course it would
your little dog in a carrier and your child is just small, but it was very scary.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I got through it, but I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
To face things head on, even though it's scary, it does feel
good
to do so.
Yep. Another fear for me is men, certain type of men, and when they're loud or when they start arguing or they're because of the abusive situations. And that's another fear that I've kind of learned to stand up for myself and, don't back down from that and don't allow them to take over my space or take over my world that I've created.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that would make sense to learning a lot of lessons through fear. A ton of lessons.
Yep. I have regrets too, though.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think for me, when I think about, I'm generally afraid of the world, but
that must be why we're such good friends, because we both are afraid of the world.
We're just so scared of it. I'm literally scared of everything.
I'm scared of everything too.
Even things I can remember, so when we went on the cruise and we went into, Disney had their own, they call it Castaway Cay, which is their own. I
saw a t-shirt at Frenchie's the other day that
had that. Oh, yeah. It's Disney's cruise line, their own island or whatever. And I was adamant. I am not, my sister and my mom wanted to go snorkeling so bad, just wanted to do it. And I'm But I ended up going. And I mean, like, I'm telling myself, fish touch people all the time. But in my head, I don't know why I'm so scared of it.
Most of the time, in my experience with snorkeling, fish are afraid of you. They scooch.
No, I have, like, when I think about it, all I can think about is, like, scaly skin touching me. And I'm like, ugh. I swear to you.
They're so afraid of you that they're not going to allow you to get.
I'm like, no, I've got them, like, they're going to eat me.
Whoa.
So I end up going snorkeling, and Mom is so sweet and kind, and Emma's going to, and I'm going to put this in quotes for anyone who's just listening, watch for us, as in, like, she was going to go
She
ahead.
was on patrol for the fish?
Yeah, she's on patrol for the fish. Failed, because Mom goes, so we're doing fine, like, I'm not really seeing anything, like, I'm snorkeling, you know, there's, like, some grassy area or whatever, and it's really pretty, like, you're in the water, it's whatever. It's quite a swim out. For people who have done this at Castaway Cay, they'll know there's quite a big swim out. And what they do is they actually have Disney statues. You can go to certain, like, underwater, which is also kind of creepy, but a lot of people like them. So the first statue you can find is the Dumbo one. So I was like, I'm going to try to make it to the Dumbo one, which is still pretty far out. So we're swimming along, and Mom's holding my hand, and she goes, I see a fish. It's just a small one. Do you want to check it out? I'm like, okay. To me, it looked like the size of a shark. Mom says it wasn't that big. I'm pretty sure it was a shark.
It's so funny because I absolutely love the water and snorkeling, and I swam with the sharks, like in Belize at the, you know, like out of the Keys and stuff, and the nurse sharks and the fish, and, you know, I did lobster fishing, diving for lobsters, and yeah.
No. I was proud. I made it out to the Dumbo. I saw the Dumbo, and actually I should send you the video. I must not have sent it to you. So the video is, so you can see, because I have under, like, stuff to protect my phone camera. So you can see me, like, filming underwater the Dumbo thing, and then all you hear at the very end of the video is like, okay, I'm done. And I, like, frantically swim back, like something's gonna eat me.
Oh boy.
But you know what? I was proud of myself because I not only tested my limit, but also knew my limit. So it was like, I was sworn that I was never going to snorkel, and I was like, you know what? This is a once in a lifetime. I don't know when I'll have this opportunity again. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to film it and be proud of myself. I did it for as long as I felt I could physically do it, and then I walked away.
You know where it would have been really good to snorkel is in Cozumel. Right on the beach there is a beautiful spot to snorkel, and there's not a lot of fish. It's more the like corally stuff.
But that was the other thing. I've never been on a side by side or four wheel or anything.
Oh yeah.
So we did side by sides for the first time. Like that's
cool.
But I feel like it's like a lot of talking to yourself. A lot of self-talk.
A lot of self-talk in your head.
Right. And to just know, like, what are fears that you can push and fears that you can't. Birds, like, I don't know what it is with birds. I cannot do birds. I cannot do them.
Megan and I are polar opposites when it comes to nature.
I cannot do birds.
I'm trying to get every raven that's in the parking lot or every seagull that's in the parking lot. I'm trying to get them to come to the car. And
no, not me. I'm terrified of birds. So I know that unless I did some sort of, like, I don't know, exposure therapy, like through an actual therapist or whatever, I'm not about the birds. The snorkeling, I knew I could push myself a little bit.
Yeah.
Same thing with the lake. I knew I could push myself a little bit there. So I think that's important too. Like, to know what your limits are. And to know what's just, like, you're not ready for.
What you can and can't do, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to also traumatize yourself.
Yeah. It's like me, if I go to someplace, like, I don't think I would ever be able to go back to a bar again where there's a lot of, like, too many people, and you know how men are when they get drunk and they're loud and things like that. Like, I can't imagine putting myself in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Because I would feel so much fear. And the fear would outweigh the fun.
Well, and this is it, right? Like, and you talked about, I know, you talked about Belize, like, the desire and the want and the curiosity and the preparing and all that stuff, like that outweighed that fear portion, right? It was worth it to you. Yeah. For me, it was worth it to get out on that sea and at least try snorkeling for, even if I just turn around right away. Like, it just depends. I don't know. Like, it just depends.
Yeah.
And same thing, like, you know, just, kind of get out there, face as many fears as you can. And fears can be big or small.
Everybody, if anybody takes anything away from our podcast today, it would be to if there's something that you really want to do, and you are able, like financially or whatever, that you can make it happen, I would say do it, because
of course,
so many people wait, like for retirement, or they're waiting for this, or they're waiting for that, or for some reason. Just do what you want to do, and enjoy it. And, you know, and then move on, because life will always be there when you come back.
Even things like, one thing that I can think of in relation to weight and kind of fitness level or whatever, when my sister and I went to Quebec City, there's that waterfall there. It's like really big, and it's got a suspension bridge over top. And so we took like the trolley or whatever, the air trolley, to the area, but then you still have to walk up, I think it's like 2 or 3 flights of stairs. And I hate stairs. I literally hate them. I hate them. So, you know, my first instinct, because it's busy, is to be like, I'm afraid of getting in people's way. I'm afraid of what people are going to think if I'm slow.
I hear you on that.
Whatever. And then, you know what I said to myself? F that. I'm allowed to be here just as much as anyone else, so I'm going to take my friggin' time. And if people want, just like if you have a dummy tire on your car, you're not going to go like 130 because everyone else is going. You're going to take your time, you're going to go slow, and people can pass you. Same thing with the stairs.
Yep.
They can pass me. So that's what I did. I walked up the stairs.
I'm like that a lot too, and I find myself, especially since I've been in the wheelchair, I find myself apologizing for being in a space. Like I can be in the aisle at the dollar store.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at something, and someone's way down at the other end, and they're coming towards me, and I start to panic because I'm thinking, oh my God, am I blocking the aisle? Yeah. And I'm instantly apologizing to them as they get close to me.
Yeah.
And then after I come out of there, I think to myself, why am I apologizing? I have every right to take up however much space I need to get through and get my shopping done just the same as everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have that instant fear of taking up too much space when I'm out there.
Yeah. So that's not a small fear, because it's quite significant, but like it's those types of fears like I would encourage people to really try to work through, because if that's the barrier for you to go on a hike or go shopping or to go to that waterfall, you know, like I would really, really encourage people to work through that.
Just try to do it.
Allow yourself to take up any space you need to do so. Really.
Mentally or physically.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add to this lovely session?
Face your fears, people.
Face your fears.
Face your fears and live your life.
Yeah, seriously though. Okay, I guess we're gonna go now. All right, love you guys. See you next Friday.
Okay.
No more feeling small. We're taking up space, standing proud and tall. Our voice is strong, our stories to be heard, challenging the stereotypes. Flip.